2026. It's Tuesday. Yeah, it's 12 degrees Celsius. That's 53.6 degrees Fahrenheit to you guys down in the States, and expected to reach a high of 20 degrees Celsius. But they're calling for snow on Saturday, possible rain or snow again. So, hopefully that's the last dump of snow here in Manitoba. But I think everyone's starting to get tired of the winter blues. But let's get into the news. 30 minutes or less. Why? Because anything longer than that's probably just BS. And sorry, today the news going to be a little bit short. Why? Because everything's just BS today. It was really hard for me to find articles to even be worth talking about today. So sorry about the short one today, you guys. But let's get right into it. Hey, James. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has signed a joint statement with South Korea to waive the 3% tariff on exports from oil-rich province. This could make Alberta anywhere from $400 million to $1 billion annually. This is part of Danielle Smith's plan to double the oil and gas production by 2035. You know, that expected plans for Danielle Smith, like 2035. Where did she even get that date from? She's not even going to be around by that time, you know? like, so I don't know what her plans, and then she still has to deal with the BC government, trying to get this crude oil through. If they want to bump up production, they got to start bumping up, the agreements they have with BC. But this 2035 date of doubling their oil exports and production, that number is like way out to lunch. I don't know what she's thinking. Then over to Northwest Territories. The Northwest Territories premier is said to remove the time changes as a year round time change standard following. Alberta and BC have pretty much followed suit. There will be no time change anymore. Well, Saskatchewan has pretty much been the only province that hasn't done daylight savings. And with the times and the changes now, and with farmers and technology, do we really need to be changing time? This, they said it was really just for the farmers so they can have an extra hour of daylight. But with farmers and technology now, you see farmers running throughout the night using GPS and some of these new digital technologies. So yeah, this whole time change, it'll be good for the people too. They finally get rid of this time change, going forward an hour or going back an hour. It's just hard on the system, period. And it's also, if you notice, it's hard on your animals too. When you start changing your timelines to, and then your animals have to start adjusting to your timeline. So it's going to be a good thing all around. I think people will be a lot happier, and yeah, just that whole time change thing really messes with people's heads. And I don't know why we haven't gotten rid of it sooner. And then over to Cuba. Cuba has confirmed talks with U.S. officials to end the energy blockade. A Cuban foreign ministry official had said that the exchange with Washington was actually quite respectful and professional, and was pretty devoid of threats. So they seem to be making some progress here. Don't really know what else is going to be happening here. That's just good talks. That's all I could find. So we'll see what kind of agreements that come up here within the next couple months. Meanwhile, Trump's going to be quite busy with this Iran conflict, so kind of leaving Cuba, off to the side. That's such a minute problem compared to what other things are going on in the world. And down into Maine, lawmakers in Maine have passed statewide temporary suspension of new data centers. This legislation comes after AI industries face growing pushback over its negative environmental footprint and its impact on local utility bills, as other states mull over its introduction to similar laws. Yeah, there's a lot of states starting to bring up these issues, like who's going to power this? Are we going to have clean air? Are we going to have enough fresh water? Like some of the research that's coming out of here, like some of these data centers are using up to like 250 million gallons of water per day. Yes, a lot of it's recycled, but think about there always is going to be some confirmed loss, but there's no real statements on. They're kind of keeping all of this under their hats. They don't want people to know how much water they're using, how much pollutants they're putting in the air, and how much the energy bills are going to affect the people at the end of the day. Like, you think the AI companies are going to be paying for these power bills? No, it's going to be put back onto the consumer, because at the end of the day, it's the consumer using these AI products. So why not just charge the people and have their hydro bills go up even more? And water bills and water infrastructure. So there's a whole calamity of things that can happen, the butterfly effect. So it's good to see Maine has done that, but to say that it's only temporary, with the amount of money that these AI companies have invested in them, I could see them easily getting around some of these state laws. So we'll see what happens. And then over to the UK. UK is, or the EU is talking about, they want to have definite results of what these AI data centers will be doing in the EU and in the UK, after like seeing some negative results of comments coming from the United States and people living around data centers. So good to see that the UK is kind of looking into this before they start building more data centers, before you create more problems before you can even solve them. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. And over to Alberta, a poll is suggesting that conservative voters are now wanting to replace Pierre Poilievre as the party's leader. Yeah, his his power is starting to dwindle here, and after him having people removed from his cabinet to save his own seat, I thought that was pretty ruthless. It's not the first time government officials have done such things, but he lost the battle, and then to make other people lose their seats so he can keep his own. And to tell you the truth, I don't see Pierre doing anything. It's just arguments on both sides, and I'd like to actually see Pierre Poilievre actually do something instead of going out on to TV shows like, or podcasts like Joe Rogan, and speak his mind on there. Why are you down in the States telling Canadian, or telling Americans how Canada should be run, when you should be up here in Canada actually making a difference, instead of just making Canada sound worse out than what it was. So like, I don't know. So expect something happening with Pierre Poilievre, and a shift change when it comes to the Conservative Party. I don't know who would be up for running, taking his place, but there's probably definitely going to be a long list of people who would want to be on the top there. So, yeah, interesting. And an election victory in Bulgaria. Former President Rumen Radev of Bulgaria could give the country a chance to stay for stability, and to clean out some of the corruption that has stemmed through its growth. So that's kind of interesting. But most politicians, they always talk about corruption and how they're going to make changes and stuff. And when it comes to elected officials, there's a reason that they got into office in the first place, is because of their own corruption and their own skeletons that they keep hiding in their closet. So I'm gonna keep an eye on what's happening in Bulgaria there, but that's pretty interesting. It's always good to pay attention to who's getting voted in other countries and what they're saying too, because it will affect the whole world as a whole. Whether you really hear about it in the media or not, things like this do affect the world. And over to China. China has announced that they have the capacity to build up 50 nuclear reactors simultaneously, as it doubles down its push to rapidly expand its nuclear power generating, as it becomes wants to become a global leader in this sector. So I don't know. That's That's pretty hardcore. The U.S. is definitely going to be paying close attention to this too, because if all these nuclear reactors, like 50 at a time, and what will these nuclear reactors actually be used for? Will they be used for actually generating power? Because you could be using them for radioactive isotopes used for cancer treatment and other things like that. It could also be used to create radioactive or weapons grade plutonium for nuclear weapons or even dirty bombs. So yeah, that's kind of scary. A country as big as that, it will help with their energy crisis for sure. But what is that going to do to nuclear fuel now? If China is going to be building all these nuclear power plants, it could be unfeasible for the rest of the world to supply their own nuclear power plants with the potential radioactive material to power them. So that it's a double-edged sword here. Yeah, and the poor quality. Yeah, I know. And them speeding up these builds and stuff. Yeah, when you rush things, this is my theory. This has been my theory for a long time. When you get in a rush and you start to hurry, what happens? Always something bad happens. Whether you hurt yourself, you forget something. It just nothing ever comes from trying to be in a hurry. And you could anyone can tell me this. Even you personally, the people watching, what happens when you hurry? Like, sit down and think about that. Does anything benefit from you being in a hurry? Like, you hurry to work, you speeding in a car, you get pulled over, you get a ticket. Now you're late for work. Now you're trouble at work. Like, it just snowballs. Every time people get into a hurry, things go wrong. And this could be the exact same results when it comes to China trying to push out way too many projects at once. And then over to Japan and Russia. Japan had an earthquake 22 miles off the northeast coast yesterday. The 7.4 magnitude earthquake with multiple aftershocks reaching in the fives. Uh, and then Russia having 4.6 to 4.9 earthquakes around the same time, triggering tsunami warnings in Canada, Alaska, and the United States West Coast. But all those tsunami warnings have been downgraded, and everyone should be okay. And you shouldn't have to worry too much about any flooding or tsunami warnings across the America's West Coast. Yeah, that's another thing they're gonna have to. That's see if they build things to. They won't have the infrastructure to do it. They won't have the people. See, this is what happens when you rush things. This is like electric vehicles here in Canada. They're trying to rush these electric vehicles throughout Canada, but we don't have the infrastructure to supply power to all these electric vehicles. So the same thing when it comes to China, when it comes to these nuclear power plants. Who's going to be able to run these? Are they just going to have a university and a school just to train these people? It's a butterfly effect. Without having an actual plan before actually building these things, it leads to a major problem. It'll be yeah, definitely a big issue. And over back to the United States, and Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin aced its landing the other day, but the satellite it took into space, yeah, it put it in the wrong. It put it in the wrong orbit. But to say how much this is going to cost Blue Origin, hurt them financially, we're never going to know because these details are not public record. But the satellite itself was insured, and then the cost of the launch and potential delays to future missions and the damage to the company's reputation after this launch is could be unrecoverable. But when you got money like that, yeah, it's easy to just blow money away. So yeah, we'll see what Blue Origin's reputation comes to when it comes to launching satellites. Like, what a waste of money. What a waste of fuel. And yeah, if Jeff Bezos can't do it properly, then let it be to somebody else who can do it properly in the first place. And then Canada and Brazil have reached a free trade negotiation and is on track to sign by the end of this year. So, yeah, Canada is, breaking barriers here, finding other solutions to get product and bring in product from other countries. And with Brazil having a great farming market, great resources, this could be great for Canada and Brazil as yeah, we have a lot of resources that could be beneficial to Brazil as well. So yeah, let's get rid of those trades and open up this free trade agreements amongst other countries too, and start separating ourselves a little bit more away from or the United States. Yeah, if you guys like the news like this, hit the like button, subscribe. I'm here Monday to Friday, 4 to 4:30 p.m. Central Time. News stripped down, 30 minutes or less. Why? Because anything longer than this is probably just BS anyways. And yeah, anything you watch in news regular media is just absolute garbage right now. This is actually really difficult for me to find articles to write about today because it's just drama and BS. Like, holy, I just read for about an hour before I could even start reading or writing. And yeah, let's get into things that happened today in history. April 21st, 1918, German World War One fighter ace Baron Manfred, aka the Red Baron, was shot down over France by Canadian pilot Arthur Roy Brown. Is credited with the kill, and he was from Carleton Place, Ontario. But he did receive most of his training down in the United States and then transferred over to the Royal Air Force and continued his battle over there, and then came back to Canada, started a small airline, worked for a magazine, and also did run for public office, which he did not get the vote, and then ended up buying a small farm and just kind of settling down there for the rest of his life. There are rumors that Arthur Roy Brown was from Erickson, Manitoba, but those claims are just false. And April 21st, 1989, thousands of Chinese citizens crowd Beijing's Tiananmen Square, cheering for students to demand greater political freedom. If you guys don't remember this, in 1989, this was a massive, massive protest. I've known people, well, I know of people who were in Tiananmen Square at that time, and police forces, absolute zero tolerance, using illegal ammunition to deal with protesters, using explosive rounds. It was pretty bad. And then you can remember the famous scene where there was a guy holding back a line of tanks, just holding his groceries. That was during Tiananmen Square as well. And then April 21st, 1956, Elvis Presley's first hit record, Heartbreak Hotel, reaches number one. April 21st, 1904, Ty Cobb makes his professional debut for the Augusta Tourists in the South Atlantic League of the MLB. 1904, Ty Cobb. Imagine if you had a Ty Cobb card right now. That'd be worth a buttload of cash. And then famous birthdays. April 21st, 1838 to 1914. John Muir was 76. He was the founder of the Sierra Club. He helped preserve the Yosemite Valley and Sequoia National Park, along with other wilderness areas. Yeah. Well, you probably don't realize how significant that is, but that is a massive, like, creating national parks to preserve them. Like, who would have thought that would have been a thing? But thanks to John Muir, we have these parks that we can go to and, that are protected, and we don't have to worry about, pollution or like people cutting down the forests, and we can preserve those for, generations to come. And April 21st, 1947, Iggy Pop is 79 today. Wow. I can't believe he's still kicking. Man, he just looks like skin and bones nowadays. But yeah, he's still kicking. Iggy Pop. Yeah, he had quite a few collaborations with, was it Bono? Bono and some other creators. Yeah, he's had quite the career. And April 21st, 1959, Robert Smith is 67. Probably remember him from the TV show The Cure. April 21st, 1979, James McAvoy is 47. He played Professor X in the X-Men TV series from 2010 to 2019. April 21st, 1988, Robbie Amell is 38, Canadian actor. He played the character Firestorm in the TV sitcom The Flash from 2014 to 2023. So yeah, that's it for the news today. Hopefully I find some better topics tomorrow. Hopefully the news is a little bit better. But just drama today. Like, nothing good. I don't want to talk about blood or guts or like the whole actual conflict. And even that Tiananmen Square, I could get a little bit more deeper into that. But due to the fact that I know people who have been at Tiananmen Square during that protest, and it was quite violent. A lot of people did lose their lives, and yeah, it's pretty messed up. But normally, I try and stay away from talking about topics like that, like things like just happened in the states this past weekend here. And as soon as I heard it was about kids, I had to turn it off myself. We don't need to be talking about this in the media. We need to start spreading this stuff. You got to realize every time we talk about this stuff, it just spreads it more like a virus. So let's stop promoting these people who are doing horrendous things like this, and we should start speaking up against our own media because this is nonsense. They're feeding the beast, and this is why I do the news like this. So you guys can watch this. You got pretty much the most important part of the news, and you didn't have to listen to the drama or the BS. And yeah, so I'll be back for tomorrow's show. And yeah, if I don't see you guys, have a great week. And yeah, I'll see you guys later down the road. And if there's anything you guys want me to talk about, and like I said, I don't talk about blood or guts or anything like that, shootings, war conflicts, because there's enough of that nonsense in the media as is. So, but if there's something you guys want me to talk about or something I missed, please bring it up in the comments and I will get to it. But I am out of here, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for Tuesday show, 4 to 4:30 p.m. Central Time, Monday to Friday. So I'll be back, and don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.